When a magician pulls a rabbit out of a hat, most of us know that we're being fooled. And yet, even knowing that it's a trick, we still can't see how it's done. And the reason for this is very simple. The magician isn't relying on something impossible happening. He's relying on an illusion being created through two strategies: concealment and misdirection. Our attention is pulled so completely into the appearance of what's happening that we fail to notice what's really going on. And what I want to explore in this video is that this isn't just how stage magic works, it's also a way of understanding how Maya, the ultimate magic show, operates in our experience. Because Maya uses these exact two tricks to lead you, the pure awareness, to believe in the illusion that you only exist as a separate, solid entity who was born and will die. So hi, I'm Katharine, and in these videos I share the practices and insights that I gained from living 15 years in an ashram in the Himalayas. So in my last video I explained how pure awareness isn't in fact covered, it's just overlooked, and how this happens due to the effect of the three gunas, the three qualities of nature which between them manifest the appearance and experience of creation. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll link to it in the description box below, and I'll also include a link to my free PDF booklet about the three gunas in case you're not familiar with what they are. But today I want to explore in more detail exactly how the gunas create this effect. Not for the sake of interest, but because when we clearly see how the magician is operating, the magic trick loses its ability to deceive us. So as I said, one of the magician's strategies is concealment. Something important is kept out of sight. But concealment on its own isn't enough. If the audience was simply sitting there calmly watching the hat and nothing else, the trick wouldn't work. So the magician also relies on misdirection, making sure that attention is fully absorbed elsewhere, in a dramatic gesture, a story, a joke, or maybe the appearance of a pretty assistant. Anything that keeps the attention engaged while the real mechanism operates unnoticed. What's interesting here is that most magic tricks don't depend on hiding something perfectly, they depend on attention being perfectly occupied. And this is exactly how Maya works too. In our daily life, Rajas creates a strong sense of movement and momentum which continually occupies our attention. Even if we sit perfectly still with closed eyes so that no movement is being experienced through the senses, Rajas will do its best to keep the ego mind active, to keep the thoughts coming so that our attention remains preoccupied with the sense that we're an individual having thoughts. So in this analogy of the magic show, Rajas is the misdirection, the distraction. And tamas doesn't just create the sense of heaviness and dullness that I spoke about in the last video. Tamas is like a blanket of not knowing. When we're asleep, this blanket is actually helpful because it completely covers the experience of being a body lying in a bed in a particular room and allows the body and mind to rest. But when we're awake, this same power of obscuration can give the impression that awareness itself has somehow been covered. In that sense, tamas is like the dense blackness of the magician's hat and cloak, which prevents us from seeing what's really behind it. But there's a really important point to understand here. The gunas can only ever influence each other. Pure awareness, which can also be called the self, the Atma, is beyond the gunas. It remains forever untouched by the movement of rajas, it's never covered by the ignorance of tamas, and it can never be refined by the clarity of sattva. Pure awareness is forever present and forever unchanging. So what does this mean in terms of our direct experience? It means that the gunas only ever operate at the level of the mind and body, the level of forms and phenomena, never at the level of awareness itself. So tamas can't actually cover awareness or create an absence of awareness. and it can't disconnect you from awareness. It can only create the experience of the mind not knowing awareness. And this experience can be so convincing and absorbing that we fail to notice what or who is actually aware of this very experience of not knowing. And the answer, of course, is that it's pure awareness, as fully present as it always has been. So pure awareness never changes. It's never absent, it's never distant, it's never switched off. Only appearances are. This becomes even clearer when we look at another classic analogy, that of a virtual reality game, which uses the exact same techniques of deception. When you put on a virtual reality headset, the room that you're standing in immediately disappears from your experience. You no longer see the walls, you no longer see your body in the same way. In this sense, the VR headset functions very much like tamas. It blocks certain appearances. And in the VR game, having been covered, our waking world is replaced by a completely different set of forms and phenomena, which move and keep us completely preoccupied with the sense that we need to act and interact with this new world as a matter of urgency. But notice what virtual reality can't block. It can't block you, the awareness. You're still present, still aware, still experiencing. Only the content of experience has changed. And here something very revealing becomes obvious. If your sense of being yourself were really dependent on seeing your body or being aware of the room around you or having your usual stream of thoughts, then the moment those disappeared, you would feel as if you somehow yourself had disappeared. But that's not what happens. Even when you're fully immersed in the virtual world, you don't feel as if you're missing. You still know that you're you. And the reason for this is very simple. Your sense of being was never actually made out of those experiences in the first place. What continues unbroken through every change of experience is awareness itself, the awareness of being present, the awareness of experiencing. The VR headset replaces the waking world with a completely different set of experiences, but it can't replace awareness. It can only redirect attention and obscure certain forms. And in exactly the same way, tamas may obscure the waking world. It may obscure the mind's clarity or the mind's understanding. But it can never obscure awareness, because pure awareness, the self, is not an appearance. And this is the heart of Maya. Maya may be called a veil of illusion, but that doesn't actually mean that reality is ever actually destroyed or removed or changed into anything else. It just means that reality is overlooked because attention is fully absorbed elsewhere. So the magic show and the VR game are manufactured illusions. They make your mind believe in the appearance of something, but have no actual impact on reality. And in just the same way, Maya has no actual impact on reality. And this shows why simply calming the mind may be helpful, but it doesn't by itself dissolve Maya, because a calmer, more sattvic virtual world is still a virtual world, and a quieter experience is still an experience. As long as attention remains fully absorbed in what's appearing, the illusion continues. So the spell weakens not when experience changes, but when it's noticed that experience, regardless of its content, is being known. And this is where the power of Atma Gyan, or true knowledge, satsang, comes in. Because when it's clearly seen how Maya operates, how the magic trick is done, the illusion naturally loses its authority. And there's no longer any confusion about what's fundamental, because pure awareness was never affected by the trick in the first place. Maya never touched reality. It just convinced your mind to look somewhere else.